Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and today we are going to continue our conversation about Magic the Gathering Online, specifically what I think about most of the store offerings, as well as helping you get started delving into the world of Commander Online. Because, well, until Chris Cox makes good on his innuendos of Commander coming to Arena, this is going to be the #1 reason that people choose to play online, the elusive Commander format. But before we get into all that, take just a moment to like, comment, and subscribe, because that kind of thing really keeps this boat moving. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. Alright, so let's take just a moment and kind of peek through what was unlocked in the store when we did our account upgrade. I think it goes without saying, but here I am, I'm going to say it anyway. Buying sealed packs in the MtGO store is just as bad as buying packs and opening them for singles in the real world with paper Magic. You are way better off just buying tickets and going after the individual singles that you want, rather than trying to play the pack lottery. From here, let's take a look at the bundles. For the most part, this is an absolute miss, unless you're looking for the specific arts and just have money to burn. Or you're looking for particular themes like Middle Earth or whatnot. For the most part, I would absolutely avoid the bundles. In particular, pay attention to these retro Shockland bundles. You get the 5 ally or the 5 enemy pairs, a one-of copy. Let me double check that. Yes, one regular copy of each for $40. So to get a single playset for Commander of the retro art Shocklands cost you $80. Just hold on to that tidbit right there. Now I'm going to skip over Commander for just a minute, and I'm going to jump over to the new player tab. Right off the bat, these Pioneer Challenger decks were pretty universally garbage. Not only is it roughly 2 years since they were introduced, and of course Pioneer has developed a lot since then. For $25, I think you can get a much better deck by going after singles than you can by buying the Challenger decks. One area that I really haven't made up my mind on is these deck builder essentials. Basically, it comes with a bunch of commons and uncommons, but I don't have an exact quantity on that. I'm thinking it is something like 4 of each common and 2 of each uncommon, and then some basic lands, but I'm still having to do some research on that. If it comes with full play sets of the commons and uncommons and you're a brewer, this might be a good deal. If it only comes with 2 of each uncommon, and, well, let's face it, basic land is not hard to come by, I think there's better ways you can be spending your $5. Next up, I wanted to talk about the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth starter kit. This, for $13, comes with 2 complete decks. But in my personal experience, neither of these decks is super playable as is, but there are a lot of really interesting and in many cases darn right good Commander playable cards here. Mostly the legendary creatures found within. I don't think this is a good buy for MTGO. I think if you're interested in playing Lord of the Rings in general, buying the real world IRL version of this kit, getting the paper cards that you could then trade with your friends, sell off, etc., etc., and you get a digital redemption code so you could go over to Arena and play the decks for the same purchase price of $13, give or take, and potentially get a lot more play value out of it. All right, now in the world of pre-constructed Commander decks, MtGO pretty much has the gauntlet covered. What is this, like 34, 35 decks, give or take, ranging from $30 to $40. At any given time, there's probably going to be this many decks out here. There's 4 or 5 ones for every new set that comes out, and these are constantly going to be a changing gauntlet. Definitely do your research before making a purchase. There are experts out there that do nothing but make content on Commander, far more than me. They can tell you what's good and what's bad about every one of these decks, know what you're getting into, know what's included in the deck, and of course, price and relative value of playability is constantly going to be in flux in a game like Commander as time goes on. So what was good today or good when it came out may not be what is good when you're watching this video. So again, do your research, know what you're looking at before you make your purchases. That's why I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over individual opinions about these various decks and things like that. What I do want to spend some time talking about is the Commander Workshop for $40. This looks to be a tremendous potential value, not only for people that really want to dive deep into Commander right away or at this point in time, but there's a lot of good stuff here for non-Commander players as well. All right, so now let's start talking about Commander-specific products available in the store. And right now I want to talk about these 5 Ally color specifically targeted as starter Commander decks. For 20 bucks, these are pretty good. So if your budget is really tight and say $40 to get headstrong into Commander is more than you're able to do, adding a second deck to your arsenal for 20 bucks is pretty darn good. Each and every one of these comes with a collection of not only cards specific for that deck, but also some pretty good Commander staples to help you get a boost, maybe wait for your budget to get a little bit stronger, whatever the case may be. These aren't a bad place to start. But if you've got $40 to spend, there is definitely something better for you. Now, as we start to focus in on individual legendary creatures that could be used as commanders, when I look at my account, I find I have 123 individual potential commanders. But of course, my account is pretty recent, but isn't necessarily exactly what you will get if you have just started your account. So let's focus in on those commanders that I know come to the new players right now. So the bad news is, yes, the Commander's Workshop is roughly $40 US. But the good news is it really does come chock full of good stuff here. To quote Wizards, adds 2,000 cards, and we're not talking about low rarity or ho-hum stuff here. This is a true springboard into a deep dive of Magic's wildest and weirdest format. To quote some numbers from them, 96% of the contents are rares and mythics. 375 cards in the workshop can be your commander, and another 40 planeswalkers are included, representing cards from over 120 sets throughout Magic's history. Digging a little bit deeper, originally my intention was to literally look up every single card's MTGO market value at the time of release and give you an exact ticket for dollar comparison. But really, I think this illustrates it very well. I found approximately 170 lands for the Commander collection here, including a full one-of playset of the Shocks and Pain lands, as well as many of the standard playable rare dual lands are hiding one-ofs in this set as well. And if you recall a few minutes ago, we talked about the Shock lands. The Ally set was $40 and the Enemy one-of set was another $40. Granted, these aren't the special art versions that you get there, but let's be honest, the graphics on MTGO are really not all that great to begin with, so I don't know why you'd want to pay a premium for art. So just those 10 lands carry a store value of double what the Commander's Workshop does, and those cards are included. I also found it interesting that more than a dozen very playable Pauper cards were also included here. And in a format like Pauper that is potentially so important to us trying to free-to-play on MTGO, to get so many very playable cards all at once, basically for free within this investment, is pretty substantial in its own right. So obviously the Commander's Workshop comes with a ton of cards, and along with that, a lot of opportunity to have fun playing Commander on this client. But you know what? $40 is $40, and I pretty much build on a budget. I have proposed MTGO as a virtually free-to-play environment. So what about the folks that maybe $40 is just not really in the budget at the moment? Not that it's necessarily a lot of money for most people, but you know, most people maybe have other things they would rather do with $40, and that's fine. So what could you do as a mid-range Commander player on the client if you didn't buy the Commander? Well, aside from all those various decks that we talked about out of the store, which are, you know, very similar price points, if we were to look at just the free starter collection and the $5 upgrade, we would find that there's 113 potential Commanders in there. That's a lot of Commander decks going on here. And, you know, I didn't really look at overlap between what's in the workshop and what's in the upgrade kit and things like that. But just looking at the free starter, there's multiple Commanders that you see on your left side of your screen. And honestly, most of these are mono black pieces of your existing Commander deck that could slot in or slot out for Braids, the signature Commander on that deck. And you would still have, you know, different play experiences and things like that, but you're still just one deck. Beyond that, we do have a couple of mono white, and I think most interesting is Adeline. And I am going to be putting on a full deck list link, hopefully, for a MTGO version of that deck, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. But on the right hand side of your screen, I've selected a 2-color pair budget-friendly Commander that's available in that upgrade kit with your $5. Hopefully I'll have time to build all of these decks. Some of them I have done for Arena, others I haven't, but certainly take a moment, throw a comment down below. Let me know which of these you're most interested in seeing an MTGO rebuild on, and we will try and prioritize those first. And speaking of that Adeline deck, this is the build that I am going to be publishing out there. As you can see from just a quick review, if you look at the cards with the gold hash outline, that means we don't have those cards in the collection, and most of it is cards that we do have in that upgrade collection. There are a few things that you might want to invest in if you don't already have them. Some great staples in general, but most of them are already represented here, even outside of the Commander Workshop. I did not take the time, just being honest, to go through and see which of these were available, because, well, you can borrow this whole deck without buying the Commander's Workshop for about half a ticket. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, shame on you. You need to go watch my $5 upgrade video, because amongst other things, we talk about how you can set up multiple loan accounts with vendors and get like $11 worth of cards at any given time. Use those cards to your heart's content, and then when you're done with them, you give them back and you can build new decks with it. And like I said, for 11 tickets on a loan, this is about half a ticket. So you can play a lot of Commander just borrowing cards. Now, certainly there are some staples that are more expensive that might be worth investing in over time, which better justify the Commander's Workshop, or possibly buying some of the pre-made Commander decks and things like that. But it's your money. My role here is to try and give options of how to spend it. And at half a ticket for a deck that's pretty darn good, at least in a theoretical sense, this is based on other people's work and things like that, just budgeting it down a little bit, making some hybrid choices and things like that. Overall, for half a ticket to borrow, you can build a lot of Commander without making any additional investment. And really, that's what it's all about. In my next MTG Online video, we will be tackling the economy, soup to nuts. And my next format video is actually going to be focusing in on Pauper. And before we go, I want to take just a moment to thank my totally awesome patrons for supporting me and allowing me to apply my passion into a community. And of course, before we go, I've got some suggestions for your next step.